What's up, dudes? Max here, back with some impressions of a game I know a lot of you have been looking forward to, as well as myself, over the past 3 months, as we have been completely missing any Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite news, and it was the release of Ultimate Marvel 3 on both the Xbox One and Steam. The PlayStation 4 version, as we all know, came out last December, and it was only okay. The biggest improvement I was mostly waiting for was changes to netplay, if not a little bit smoother of an experience, but for the most part, when I did play the game back in December for a day or two after its launch, it did run almost identical to the PlayStation 3 version with a lot of stuttering and a lot of input delay. Now, naturally, my hopefulness leading towards the Steam release as well as Xbox One release of this game was kind of high, mostly for the fact that there has been delay-based netcode Capcom fighters that have come out on consoles, while the PC versions of those games tend to run a bit smoother with a bit less of online input delay, which is the stuff that just ruins online fighting games. This especially is the case for games like Street Fighter 4 leading all the way up to Ultra Street Fighter 4. I really feel that that game runs the best absolutely on the PC version if you're talking about net play. So, I spent the entirety of the previous night playing a whole bunch of matches on both the Xbox One version and the Steam version, and I had a very interesting evening to say the least. First off, it did not start out good. I started with the PC version playing a total of about 25 matches throughout the night, and throughout that time frame, I got about 5 or 6 games that ran pretty good. Now, we all know that the previous versions of Ultimate Marvel 3, notably the Xbox 360 version, does run and has run the best in my opinion in the past. Now, these 5 or 6 games I did get that ran pretty good felt kind of like Xbox 360 versions, but at the same time, the remainder of the matches had a whole bunch of input delay and a lot of stuttering, and was very rough. Fucker, you live really close to me, don't you? Like, if I play people in SoCal, and the Xbox 360 version, it runs fucking good. Like, it runs, like, just fine. I'm curious to check out the Xbox One version, because holy shit, man. No, it is a peer-to-peer connection, it's just that the net play is bad. It's a delay-based netcode that is archaic that they decided to stick into the game and still use to this day. However, stay with me, this story gets very interesting. Later in the evening, I went to the Xbox One version, and I was completely stifled by nothing but horrible matchmaking, wasn't getting any games, and the game was stuttering and lagging like absolute crazy. Worse than anything I'd run into, including the original PlayStation 3 version, which notably ran the worst. I was trying to deal with this for quite some time because the Xbox One version was running the worst of all of them, and at that point, frustration really set in because in my mind, we were never going to get Ultimate Marvel 3 to perform well online, and I feel this game never got the proper justice it deserves in terms of just making it a viable online fighting game, and it was pretty depressing. However, as I went throughout the evening, I was noticing that many people were saying Xbox Live has been having issues over the past 48 hours. I'm also curious at this point if it has something to do with my connection, because I have heard from some people that the Steam version ran okay, probably pretty similar to the PlayStation 4 version, and the Xbox One version was running pretty good, and this was the complete opposite of what was happening to me. The Steam version was only okay, feeling like the PS4 version, and the Xbox One version was just absolutely terrible. And then suddenly, something really weird happened. What the fuck? Am I still online? I'm still on Xbox Live. Is it just the fucking game? Dude, I'm still online. Like, I'm still actually on Xbox Live. Okay. I'm thinking there's something going on with the servers then. I'm thinking it's something with Xbox Live is freaking out because I'm still online just fine. Xbox Live and its servers seemed to have a hiccup of some kind, and Xbox Live kind of reset. Even though I went back to the dashboard, I was not disconnected, so it was not something that was happening on my personal internet connection's end. Xbox Live kind of went through a refresh of some kind, so I went back in and tried to find some matches. Lo and behold, at this point, some of the weirdest things started happening where I was paired up with similar people before, where the connection was absolutely horrible, and to my surprise, it was running incredibly.
Let's go! Yeah! Oh my god! Marvel's back! Game's back! The game's back! Holy shit! It was lost there for a second, but now it's back! Game's back! Holy shit! I'm in control of the characters I'm using! I haven't felt this in this game ever! Ever! Never ever! Getting excited. Oh shit.
Definitely didn't want molecular shield. Definitely didn't want that. It was amazing. It was amazing. Connection was fantastic. It ran great. Like, great. I mean, I just got hulked. That was it, but the connection was fucking great. Here's the funny thing is that now you get to see what Marvel's actually like. Now you don't see online Marvel, you actually get to see what Marvel's actually like. Now you really get touched and you die. I initially thought that this was just a one-time situation, like we're gonna get a couple of matches and these are just gonna run pretty good, but for the most part it's gonna end up starting to be really, really bad. But for some reason, the later I went into the evening with the Xbox One version, it was running good. Like, extremely good. I was also running into people that I had played Marvel 3 in the past on Xbox 360, and it was notably running much, much, much smoother on Xbox One, and had a very, very minimal amount of input delay. It was absolutely shocking. I continued to play the Xbox One version, going between like 10 to 20 matches, and all of them started feeling absolutely fantastic. Only one or two at this point had a little bit of stuttering and a little bit of input delay, but nothing near the amounts I had experienced on PlayStation 4 and Steam just a little bit prior. Really, the Xbox One version at this point was running better than I've ever felt Marvel vs. Capcom 3 run online, and it was stunning. It was blowing my mind. A lot of people at this point, and after this weird hiccup happened on Xbox Live, started telling me that all of a sudden the Steam version of the game was running pretty good. Now, I'm thinking this has something to do with console superiority. People want to think that the Steam version is running the best. They don't want to have to go out and get an Xbox One, blah, 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 blah. But I did want to humor the thought because previously in the evening, the Steam version was running pretty bad outside of a few matches. So I fired up the Steam version. There was a couple of games that had a bit of input delay, but the more I started playing into the evening, it started running really good. Like, really damn good. Almost similar to the Xbox One version, and I started to play for upwards of 20 matches all the way into the wee hours of the morning, and it was running fantastic. Now, here's a very interesting thing. In one evening, we have an experience where starting off the evening, things were very jittery, very rough, and very similar to what I remember Ultimate Marvel 3 running online. And then all of a sudden, something weird happens on Xbox Live. Apparently, something happens on the Steam version as we go back in and it's running great. The first culprit is my connection. Could this have something to do with my personal internet connection? And I'm likely to say hopefully not, only because my personal internet for games only has a dedicated modem for those games and a dedicated router for those games. And I was actually getting matches on the Xbox One version and the Steam version that ran okay. Like I said, the majority of them were running pretty damn rough and just like I remember, but there were a few, like 4 or 5 matches that actually felt great. The problem was that it was like 1/5 of the matches that actually felt good, which means horrible netcode. That kind of rules out my internet connection, in my opinion, simply because we had matches that were running good. If you have bad internet, notably almost all your games should be running pretty bad. Now, the other thing is that something happened. Of course, something happened on Xbox Live because there was a refresh of some kind. Xbox Live disconnected and then went back up immediately. Even though I wasn't dropped from Xbox Live, the Marvel vs. Capcom servers, or whatever's doing the matchmaking for Marvel 3, did drop me and then refresh, and then after that, it was running fantastically, including the people that I had just played where it was just rough and jittery as hell. Those matches were now super smooth and had the least amount of input delay I've really ever experienced online with Ultimate Marvel 3. The Steam version, I'm very curious, and I doubt that a patch went out or something was adjusted. I would like to think it did, but for some reason, all my matches on Steam were running a lot better. Now, you would think that because I went later into the evening and I'm on the West Coast, that I was only getting West Coast players. I would absolutely agree with you that Marvel 3 can actually run okay, as long as you get someone with a good connection and they're not too far away from you. However, I was playing several people within a live stream chat room, and I was asking them where they were playing from if we did run into a match online in online ranked, and they were telling me things like Kentucky, Ohio, and these are pretty big distances from where I am playing from in Southern California, upwards of like 1,500 to 2,000 miles all the way to the East Coast to extend that even more. And these people I was playing with, it was running really good, like better than I had ever experienced in an online match for Marvel vs. Capcom, like ever. So I have a lot of really interesting, oddly varied experiences, so I waited one more day. I jumped online to Ultimate Marvel 3 today on the Steam version to see how it went, and lo and behold, I jumped into Quick Match and played 5 ranked games, and they all felt great. Now, great in the comparison of Ultimate Marvel 3, yes, they felt great for Ultimate Marvel 3 matches. There absolutely was a pretty good amount of input delay, but nothing like the usual I'm experiencing back on the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the PlayStation 4 versions. It was running pretty damn good, which is leading me to a solution or a possible conclusion at the end of this. Ultimate Marvel 3 right now really depends on your internet connection. If you have a connection that isn't heavily interrupted by other people on the network taking up upload and download and a lot of activity happening, then this game seems to run pretty damn good online for the Xbox One and the Steam versions. So much so that in the history of me playing this game online, the matches I was getting for the majority of the night after the weird hiccup thing happened were incredible. Like, I've never ever had that much fun playing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 online since like pre-launch when the netcode was really good. It's a very interesting amount of data to say the least. I'm curious in playing more of it tonight on the Steam version as well as the Xbox One version. But what I'm most curious about is your guys' impressions, especially if you guys are playing the Xbox One or Steam version, especially since last night. If you've been playing it over the last day or so, how has it run for you, and has it been any different from that initial 24-hour launch? As always, dudes, thank you a ton for watching. I'll be back with more updates to Ultimate Marvel 3 and Marvel Infinite as soon as possible. My name is Max, and I'll see you dudes next time.